I wasn't particularly precious about any sort of plan. And I think that is one thing that has helped me be somewhat adaptable through this process is like, even when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, okay, vaginal cesarean, I'm open. Oh, breastfeeding formula, I'm open. Like, because I know that my circumstances are different, it's not that I don't deserve to have a choice or like a preference, right? But sometimes that preference doesn't work with the situation.
Hello, and welcome to the Twin Mom Life Podcast. I'm your host, Jess. I created this podcast to help build community, connection, and most importantly, friendships among moms of multiples. Being a twin mom can be amazing and magical. That twin bond is unlike anything I've ever witnessed, but it can also be isolating and overwhelming. I'll be chatting with other twin moms, diving deep into the twin experience, giving advice on what works for us so you don't have to learn the hard way. Juggling two babies at the same time is challenging, but I'm confident we can learn from each other and figure out how to raise these babies together. I'm super excited to share that I'm doing a self-care giveaway. Win a free self-care kit with Grace and Stella eye masks and needed sleep and relaxation support. To enter the giveaway, just follow or subscribe to the podcast, give a 5-star rating, and write a written review. Once complete, comment on the giveaway post on my Instagram at Twin Mom Life Podcast. Please see my post about the giveaway for more details. Must be in the US to enter. Enjoy the podcast. Hi, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Jess. Thanks so much for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Alexis, for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Well, my name is Alexis Teichmiller, and I'm a twin mom of 10-week-old boy girl twins and have just loved this season of life. It's been hard, it's been challenging, but also just really loving motherhood so far. They're my first babies as well. So, really just jumped right in with, first pregnancy being twins. In my career, my day job, I am a brand partnerships manager for a tech company called Circle. And Circle is a community platform for brands and businesses and creators. And I've spent my entire career, 10 plus years, working in the creator economy. So I've worked with lots of entrepreneurs growing their businesses, their brands. I've also been a podcaster for the last, I'm going to age myself, for the last decade. um, I
Awesome.
I started my first podcast in 2016 and have had lots of different shows, but my current show is called the In Between podcast that I host with my best friend Astrid. And we talk about life, business, career, and everything in between. And she happens to be pregnant right now as well. And so it was really cool to be pregnant with your best friend. And so the podcast, I'm sure, will kind of shift towards motherhood and career at the same time. And then I'm also a business coach. So I love helping women win in their businesses, feeling more confident with their systems, their marketing, and their branding. So that is what I do for a living. And then, yeah, I'm here because I'm a twin mom.
I love it. That's so awesome. I didn't know you had been podcasting for that long. So that's so awesome.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
can
been a
you tell us
minute.
a little? Yeah, absolutely. And before we dive into it, I always ask every mom how they filled their cup today. So what have you done to fill your own cup?
Well, I have been getting some help with a nanny, a part-time nanny a couple days a week, and so I had my nanny today. She's amazing, and I got out of the house, I went and got my nails done, which was
Hey,
just like, I
I
don't know, there's
see.
something about having my nails done. I got like a
Ooh,
mauve
pretty.
cat eye,
Oh,
and so
that's
that made me feel
fun.
really really fun. I love having my nails done. It makes me feel really girly and feminine. And then I went to the gym after. And so a little bit of girl time with by myself and then getting some movement in. So that definitely filled my cup today.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. You're hitting like all the boxes for sure.
Yes.
That's so
Yes.
great. Well, your nails are so cute.
Thank you.
Okay, so I would say today has been interesting with my chickadees. It's been a little chaotic, but I was looking back on my day and I will say one thing that I did to fill my cup today and then what I'm planning to do this evening. So I did bake banana bread. I have had
Ooh,
it was and it's really good. And it was
yum.
I've had like bananas sitting in the corner that just needed to be baked into bread. So I made that with chocolate chips, of course. So the
Mhm.
kids liked it. So that's
Mhm.
always a win. And then tonight, I am going to watch a cheesy show. I have not finished Love is Blind.
Ooh, I am, like, 3 episodes into the most current season.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. So I am towards the end and,
Okay,
like, the reunion came out recently, so I'm, like, itching to finish because I feel like the reunion is always
so good.
so ridiculous to
So
watch. Yes.
messy, you know?
Yes. Yes. So I am excited to watch a little bit of trashy TV later.
Love that. I am a Secret Lives of Mormon Wives watcher, and it's just, like, the perfect level of, like, just, like, I'm glad that I'm not living that life, but I love watching other people live it. So
I think that's what's so nice is, like, I have, like, the only drama I have is, like, when my toddler's banana breaks,
Yep.
like, we have, like, very minimal drama in our lives. So seeing someone else's drama that I can just watch from the comfort of my couch,
Mhm.
that's kinda nice,
It
you
is
know?
kinda nice. I love that for us.
Yeah. Me too, that's so funny. I was telling you I was sick a couple weeks ago. It's literally been 2 weeks, and I just can't quite laugh. Like, when I laugh, like,
Mm.
no noise comes out.
Mhm.
So, I was laughing. I don't know if you can hear that octave, but
I can hear it. I can hear it.
okay, that's
You're
good.
getting your laugh back.
It's coming back. It's thank goodness because I just didn't sound like me. I feel like last week's podcast, everyone's like, "Oh, yeah, she's sick."
Yeah.
So this
I
week
hate
it's
when it gets into your vocal cords and you're like, "Okay, now
yes.
everybody really knows." Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I was, like, nasally and, like, yeah, it was all a thing for sure. So, okay, well, I'm so glad you filled your cup, and I have to say one thing. I am so impressed with how you have been filling your own cup, making sure that you are putting yourself, you know, but not putting yourself first, but
I
making
mean,
sure that you are
honestly,
taking care of
yeah, like,
yourself.
you're taking care of babies and obviously their needs trump yours during certain parts of the day, like at 3 AM,
Sure.
but I really wanted to walk into motherhood recognizing that, like, this doesn't work unless I take care of myself,
It's
and
absolutely true.
I have a long road ahead of me, right? Like, I have a whole life to live with these beautiful twins, and I want to show them a happy, healthy, secure mom, and that looks like showing up for myself.
Absolutely, and I feel like I'm so impressed that you're doing it so early. You're 10 weeks in, and I feel like I'm speaking from personal experience. I feel like I had to crash and burn a little bit
Mhm.
before I learned that, like, this isn't gonna work this way. I'm gonna need to make sure that I'm doing things for myself, filling my cup ahead of time before I
Yeah.
have that burnout and resentment. And the fact that you're already doing that 10 weeks in, I just think is super impressive. And you're paving the way for motherhood to be sustainable and fun and enjoyable. I just think that's really impressive being 10 weeks in. I feel like when I was 10
Thank
weeks in
you.
with twins, I was, I don't know, like barely had my head above water. So I'm just super
There's
impressed.
definitely days like that. I don't wanna over romanticize it. There are definitely days like that, but I think I have to shout out my mom friends because I'm 32, and so my husband and I actually for many years weren't sure that we wanted to have kids, and we can talk about that if you want to, but there were definitely years where I watched my friends. I mean, a lot of my friends are on their 3rd and 4th child already. They had,
Hmm.
got married earlier in their 20s and just started their families early, and so I really got to watch and listen and support my friends that were going through losing parts of their identity and really struggling with taking time
Yeah.
away from their house or, leaving careers to stay home with their children and making these decisions that are really life-giving, and then also, like, how do they take care of themselves? And so, as I was pregnant and chatting with my mom friends, they were giving me such, like, soul level advice of like, "Hey, how about you learn from some of our mistakes or some of the things that
Hmm.
we didn't take time for ourselves?" We, like, even me giving myself permission, I am on maternity leave. Giving myself permission to hire a nanny on mat
Hmm.
leave so that I can take care of myself. I had a C-section, so I'm, rebuilding my pelvic floor. I wanna rebuild my strength, even carrying the twins in their car seats, like, they're heavy. You know this, girl,
Mhm.
they're
Oh,
heavy.
yeah.
And I'm like,
Like
I
a
lost
workout.
yeah, I lost so much strength and, like, muscle during my pregnancy, and right
Mhm.
now I'm like, I need to build strength so that I can get up off the floor with my kids, like, those are the things I'm thinking about and trying to make time for so that I can, come home energized, and I wouldn't have done that if one of my girlfriends, she was like, "Hey, my first pregnancy, I was on mat leave about 10, 12 weeks in." I was like, "I need help. I need help." And so we found a part-time nanny for a couple days a week, couple hours a day, just to get me out of the house. And she's like, "If you can do that for yourself and you have, the discretionary income to try to do that, I would
Mhm.
really encourage you to do so." And I was like, "You mean I can do that?" Like, I was like, "Oh, okay." And, my husband and I live in Houston, and we don't have family here. Our parents live back in Illinois. All of our close friends, are back home, and we do have some amazing friends here in Houston, but they've got lives and careers and, so it's not like they can just pop over on a Monday at 1 o'clock and give me a break. So
Sure.
there is a part of building a village that you have to
Yes.
sometimes pay for a village when you're on your own.
I think that is such an important that is so important that you said that. So, I have family here, and I'm so thankful. I've talked about this on the podcast before. My experience postpartum with my daughter was awful because she was a
Yeah.
COVID baby. I
Mhm.
had no support. I was alone. It was an awful postpartum experience. With the boys, I had my village. I had my parents close by. My husband's family lives out of state, but my mother-in-law is a nurse, and she took 3 weeks off and basically lived with us,
Oh, wow.
which was so unbelievably helpful,
That's
and
incredible.
people set up meal trains, like, it was all so great, and if I didn't have that village, it would have been very hard, and I
Mhm.
love that you said that you allowed yourself to do it. You
Yeah.
didn't have that family close by you, and you that that's not that sucks. Like, you
Yeah.
still need help, you still need support.
Mhm.
So, hiring a nanny is what you need to do to be the best mom that you can be, and I think
Yeah.
that's amazing and incredible, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you, and I'm learning that that looks different for everybody, like, our capacity levels are different as moms, and, like, there are several days in a row where I'm with the twins, just me, and I'm like, "I got this," and then I have a day where I'm like, "Ooh, I need a break," and I can
Mhm.
tell that I need a break,
Mhm.
and so, while my parents came in for a couple weeks right whenever the twins were here and Matthew's parents have come in to help, it's like that day-to-day stuff that,
Sure,
like,
like
starts to
consistent help.
yeah, that, like, stacks on and you're like, "Okay, I think for my own mental health and well-being, I need just help in general." Sometimes she's here and I'm helping her, like, we're just with the twins, but just
Mhm.
having that extra person to help and to also for me to be able to step away has been really helpful.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. Well, and I'd love to talk more about your twins. So I
Yeah.
feel like how we connected or how I found you was through your video about your positive C-section. And I thought it was just your experience was incredible. And I love the way that you talked about it. So I'd love
Mhm.
for you to share that.
Yeah, of course. So, my twins' names are Sterling, that's our little boy, and Monroe, that's our little girl.
So cute.
Thank you.
The cutest names ever.
Thanks. I'm pretty obsessed with them. And, Monroe was twin A, and she was breech for almost 3, 4 months towards the
Mm,
end there. And so every scan, she was breech. And so around 31 weeks, my OB, who I'm obsessed with, like, there is something too about being pregnant with twins. There's so many scans, there's so many appointments, and, like, I think if I didn't love and trust my OB, having found out I was having twins, I would've, like, worked to find someone I loved and felt so
mhm.
comfortable with. I think, like,
Yeah.
really trusting your medical care providers and, like, knowing that they have your best interests and that they're empathetic and that they're listening and that they really care about the experience you want. I just lo shout out to Dr. Narudin, I love her. So, at around 30, 31 weeks, she sat me down and she was like, "Hey, so twin A is still breech, and we really need to talk about a C-section. Like, I know that you've
Mm,
kind of been open to a vaginal delivery, cesarean, but I think at this stage, because of how big they are, I don't know if she's gonna flip. It's possible, but, like, the
Well,
probability week over week is kinda dwindling. So,
and
like
there's 2. It's like,
yeah,
she's getting squished now.
exactly, like, the room for her to be able to move is dwindling by the day. So,
Sure.
she's like, how would you feel about scheduling your C-section? And then obviously if your water breaks or you go early, we can address that then. But how would you feel about a scheduled C-section? I said, let's do it. And I said, when's the first day I can do it? Like, when will you take me? I had a really, like, thankfully, really great twin pregnancy. I did not really struggle with anything, specific aside from obviously a lot of pelvic floor pressure, and I was
Sure.
very large and gained a lot of amazing weight to support the lives of my kids. But I didn't necessarily have any issues leading up to that point, and so she was like, "Let's sit down and schedule it." And, um, she took me at 38 weeks, like, exactly. Like, I was
So
38
you
weeks
made it to
on day.
38.
Yeah, full
That's
term.
amazing. I
Yeah.
made it to 37, and I don't know if I could have done a day a day more.
Yeah, I was like that was the earliest that she would take me was 38 in a day, and so I was like, "Okay, I'm ready." So, yeah, they did C-sections at the hospital I gave birth at noon and 4, and I unfortunately got the short straw, and so I got a 4 o'clock PM C-section, and
No,
it's
I'd be
like
like, "Let's in the AM, like, let's get
I
these
know, I'm
babies
like, I wanna
out."
wait. I'll be at the hospital at 3 AM. Like,
Sure.
just take these babies out of me. But, like,
Yeah.
waking up and then I had a really big breakfast, and then you have to fast, obviously. So I
I
had to
didn't even think
fast
about that.
all day. I had, like, a 6 AM breakfast, and then I fasted until 4, and I made a birth playlist that was really important to me. Like, I am someone that is really sensitive and gets a lot of energy from vibes and, like, energy. And I'm like, "I need to have my mind right. I'm about to meet my
Mm,
children. This is gonna be, like, such an amazing emotional, spiritual experience for me, and I also know that I'm going to be this is a surgery. It's different than childbirth in a way of like a vaginal delivery. I'm not going to push. I'm not going to go through that kind of labor. And so, what can I do to have and feel a level of control in a way of like making this a sentimental, positive, emotional experience? And so, I made myself a birth playlist. And as soon as I got into the OR, I wanted to talk to everybody in the room. That's also my personality, but I'm like, these are people that are bringing my children into the world. That
yeah.
if I treat it clinical, you're just here to do a job, then it's gonna be clinical. But I'm like, I wanna crack jokes with the anesthesiologist. And the CRNA anesthesiologist was hilarious. She really like we were just yapping the whole time and
I love that.
having my husband there with me, like meeting the peds nurses that were in there, talking to my doctor, like really just opening myself up to this is gonna be a great experience. This is
Hmm.
gonna be I'm gonna have a great healthy delivery. My twins are gonna be healthy, like, just really walking myself into it with a lot of positive self-talk, honestly, and, like,
Mhm.
affirmations, and it was beautiful. Like, they were born at 4:32 and 4:36 in the afternoon. Monroe was 6 pounds, 7 ounces, and Sterling was 6 pounds, 4 ounces,
That's
and
great.
yeah, they brought them to my chest. After checking them, of course, there's a lot of, like obviously with any baby, they, like, take it and check, but it wasn't, like, direct to my chest, but I was like, "I want skin to skin," and they immediately, after they did all their checks, brought them over to Matthew and I, and then we were just, like, in this, euphoric baby bubble of, like, "These are our babies, this is crazy, like, this is crazy," and these were also my first children, so I didn't really have anything to compare it to, but it was just the most amazing emotional experience. I look back on those photos and I, like, still cry because it's just
Oh.
so sweet, like, seeing them, be born and then having my husband there, and he was so gentle with me as well. Like, I told him, I was like, "I need you to lock in, and I need you to be very aware of, like, when I start getting quiet, I need you to be like,
Mm,
lean in and 'cause we just your partner, you know each other so well. I'm like, "I really need you to help me kind of get out of my head because if I
mm,
start thinking about this too much, I'm gonna get anxious, and I don't wanna feel that level of anxiety on such a special day." And it's okay
mm,
if you do, but I'm like, if I can work myself to this, like, sense of positivity and optimism, then I want this to be, like, a good experience, and yeah, he was amazing, and then we went to post-op, and, um, Monroe had a little bit of fluid in her lungs, like, amniotic fluid, and so they did some suction on her and some breathing treatments, but neither of the twins, needed NICU time, and
that's
I
great.
spent 4 days in the hospital and overall had a really great C-section experience, and I'm I'm glad that was my birth story. I think that there's a lot of, like, rhetoric online around mourning and, like, grieving a birth that you didn't get to have,
Hmm,
and which is so fair, and I think that because I knew that it was gonna be a C-section so early, I didn't even I didn't even, like, go down the vaginal birth romanticizing that experience, and I was like, "Okay, how can I make the most of what I am gonna have?" And
mhm.
that was my experience, so yeah.
I love that. Well, okay, and I have to know what was on your playlist? Like, t
Oh,
at least 2 songs.
okay, hold on, let me pull this up actually. Um,
Yes. When you're talking about your playlist, I'm like, I have to know what is
yes,
on it. What's
so
your vibe?
I started really sentimental, like, getting in the room, like, I don't wanna, like, be listening to rap music, like, in the very beginning, but I love rap. So, I'm listening to, like, Leon Bridges, Jose Gonzalez, like, a lot of,
Aw.
classical music, things like that in the very beginning for the first, like, 30 minutes or so, and then, a little Florence and the Machine, little Chainsmokers and Coldplay in there, and then
Okay, I like it.
and then at the very end we've got, like, Big X the Plug, who was, like, one of my favorite rappers. We got some Drake in there,
Yes.
little Travis Scott, Post Malone, like, towards the end where, like, I that's the point where they're, like, sewing me up, and I kinda
Mhm.
needed to take my mind off of that. That was the part I was really, like, nervous about, and I needed some hype music to get me through that, so yeah.
I love that. Okay, I have a blood clotting disorder, and when I'm pregnant, I have to take an injection blood thinner. So with the
Mm.
boys, I had done, honestly, hundreds of shots. It was no big deal to me. With Kaya, I was, like, scared every time I had to give myself a shot. I would, like, hype myself up, and I would listen to Drake every morning when I gave myself a shot.
I love it. I love it. You
When
gotta
I was like,
know,
"You
like
better say Drake, girl."
yes, yes, like, you have to know what music you need for certain moments to, like, push you to get through something.
Yes, yeah, and I love all kinds of music, like, I love country, and I love a lot of the
Same.
artists that you listed off, but, like,
Mhm.
for that moment to get hyped up to do my shot in my belly, I was like, "I need
Ooh.
Drake for this."
Yeah, there is
So, I love
I
that.
love Drake. I've been to a Drake concert, he's fantastic live.
He played at my college when I was younger. Mhm, we, like, won
Oh.
something, I don't know, and, like, the prize was Drake. Everyone was like, "Yes, that's
That's a
amazing."
fantastic prize.
So fun. I love that you were talking about that your C-section was sentimental. Because
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of times, it like you mentioned, it is a surgery. Maybe it would feel cold or sterile and that you didn't have that experience.
Yeah.
I just love that. You went into it with such positive vibes and then everyone around you could feel that energy and like it sounds fun. I could like picture. I'm like, I want to be there.
Yeah.
Sounds like a party.
It was, honestly hopefully this isn't, like, too much information, but the surgical nurse at the end, like, as they're sewing me up, she, like, looked at my doctor, and she's like, "That's a good cut, doc, like, that's a really good cut." And I was like, "That's a good cut, that is exactly what I wanna hear, that means healing is gonna be awesome." And so we're, like, literally talking about this as I'm laying on the table, but it's like you could make that weird, but I think because of the energy in the room, we were all just, like, yapping and the kids were crying and we were cuddling, and it was just, like, so fun and special, and that's what I wanted it to be, and I'm really glad I got to have that.
I love that. And I had a really good relationship with my OB as well. She was just like very real, and I felt so confident because she was so confident. And
Yes.
this is, like, kind of similar to the story that you just said, so again, it's, like, a little bit TMI, but I tour with my daughter,
Mhm.
and they were like, "Maybe you won't with the boys, like, you've already had a vaginal delivery, maybe you won't tear." So with Wyatt, baby A, I didn't tear, and I immediately asked her, "Did I tear?" She's like, "Nope, you didn't tear, girl." And then freaking Waylon, baby B,
Ooh.
I tore. So she was like, "I'm sorry you tore." But I love that we just, like, had that rapport, and I was like,
Yes.
"Okay."
Yes. I think that's so
But
special, like, also, like, we're just girls, we're just women,
yes. Yeah.
and we can make this weird or we can just, like, "Talk to me about this,"
Talk about
and
it. Yes.
I love that you had that transparency with your OB too, it's so important.
Yes, absolutely. It was just, like, fun, and it was something serious, like, tearing isn't
Oh, of
fun,
course. So
but at
painful.
least
I can
yeah, but
imagine.
at least we could, like, talk about it, and then it kinda made it seem like I mean, not that it wasn't a big deal, but I liked the conversation that we were able to have, made it feel, like, less medical and serious.
Yeah.
Like I was talking
Yeah.
to a friend.
Yeah. Yeah, and, like,
Yeah.
normalizing it, like, "Hey, this happens.
Yes.
I'm sorry this happened. Yeah, you tore, like, you'll be okay."
Yeah.
It is special to have that kind of, like, rapport and relationship with your doctors.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my standard now too. I'm like, if I can't imagine drinking a glass of wine with my medical provider, you're not it for me. Like,
Yeah, I'm
our
not
my
interested.
yeah, whenever I was pregnant with the twins, I found an amazing chiropractor who was licensed in, like, the Webster technique, which is a specific
Mm,
chiropractic process for pregnant women, and it's, like, no cracking. It's, like, a
mm,
lot of cupping and doing a lot of, like, tension release around your sacrum because I had really bad sciatica, and it
mm,
really helped me get through, like, the last 2 months of my pregnancy, and so we took the twins to her at 2 weeks old because I could already tell that they were having tension and they're so compact in the womb, and so she was able to address that tension really early, and so they're able to move their necks, we're not having flat spots, like, they're, like, able to have a little bit more mobility because of the stretching that she's taught us to do at home and all of that. Anyways, I would drink a glass of wine with her, like, the vibes, you get in the
yeah.
office, you're like, "What's up, Doctor B?" Like, it just having that kind of relationship is so important, and I think it definitely set the standard for me moving forward with any doctor. I'm like, "Oh, okay, you're not it for me, and that's fine. I'm gonna go find somebody else."
I love that. Well, and it just this is like these are life-changing things, and you need
Mhm.
to feel good about who you're going to, so I love all
Absolutely.
of that. So I'd love to talk about your postpartum. I
Yeah,
know we've talked about, like, how you're really making an effort to make sure that your cup is filled so that you can be the best mom that you can be, but I know you've had some struggles along the way. So can you
definitely.
talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, for sure. So I started out breastfeeding in the hospital, and both of the twins latched. I tried tandem breastfeeding. It was very intense, very overstimulating for me
So, I could
personally.
not. I did it one time in the hospital. It took me, my husband holding one baby, and a nurse holding the other baby.
Yep,
And in
yep.
that moment, we both were like, "How is this gonna work?"
Yeah, like,
We
how is this sustainable? Like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. Like, that I was definitely thinking of, like, how am I gonna logistically get them to
Yes.
latch?
That was the exact word that came to me, like, the logistics aren't matching up here. I had a
Yeah,
three-year-old at home. I was like, "I don't know. I don't know about this." So, I feel
yeah,
you on that. And I would love to have a mom on who does tandem breastfeed because I would love to learn how the heck she did it because I think it's so impressive, but same, like, I
agreed.
just couldn't do it. I needed 2 more hands.
I am so impressed for twin moms that are able to tandem breastfeed, but I
Mhm.
I think pretty quickly into my journey, I realized how difficult it would be to breastfeed both of them at the same time, and then, like, you're trying to keep them on the same schedule, and breastfeeding when they're really young can take, like, 15 to 30 minutes, and
Mhm.
so, like, because 'cause they're trying to get full, and so it's like, "Okay, now I've spent 30 minutes with twin, 1, and then 30 minutes with twin 2, and I'm like, "Okay, there's an hour, and now I need to go do some things or take care of myself or shower, brush my teeth," So I'm like, "This is just not sustainable for me long term," and so I pretty quickly jumped into pumping, probably quicker than, like, I think some lactation consultants tell you not to pump until, like, week 3 or 4, and I'm like, "Listen, my circumstances are different," and I think that's something that I have really leaned into in my mindset is what works for singletons is amazing, and I'm glad that that works. My circumstances are different, therefore, I need to find a different way, a different path, a different strategy that's gonna work for me and
Amen,
my
sister.
kid, which is why you have this podcast, which is why I love it. It's like there's lots of different ways to do something, and this is what's gonna work for us, and this is what's gonna work for me. So I pretty quickly, like week 1, 1.5, I jumped into pumping. And we also combo fed from the beginning because the twins had lost almost 10% of their birth weight in the
Mm,
hospital. And so
mm.
they were like, "Hey, you're gonna have to start supplementing with formula because, like, they're not getting enough and they are losing weight, and we need to, like, you know." And I was like, "Absolutely." I wasn't I wasn't particularly precious about any sort of plan, and I think that is one thing that has helped me be somewhat adaptable through this process is, like, even when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, "Okay, vaginal cesarean, I'm open." Oh, breastfeeding formula, I'm open. Like, because I know that my circumstances are different, it's not that I don't deserve to have a choice or like a preference, right? But sometimes that preference doesn't work with the situation. So we combo fed from the beginning and we actually cut like some breast milk with some formula in some bottles, and that was really great. So I'm like, okay, they're getting an ounce of breast milk and 2 ounces of formula. Amazing. And so pretty quickly the twins are able to gain and kind of exceed their birth weight around like week 2. And so that was fantastic. And then I went exclusively in the pumping route and I was kind of a just enough pumper. Like I would pump just enough to get them through the day hours and then we would feed them formula at night because I just one didn't have the milk and also I liked that the formula would stretch them a little bit longer 'cause
Sure.
it takes them longer to metabolize. So, we did formula at night, and I was really cranking on my pumping journey. I was like, "Okay, I'm an exclusively pumping mom, like, this is great." It's a lot of work. I would
It's a
argue that it
full-time job.
I would argue that it is literally like full-time, part-time job, like hours and hours of your day, of your week spending pumping. It's also difficult because when you have twins, you can't like pick them up with a pump. Like you can't really do a whole lot physically. And I even with wearables, you can't really bend over because the milk will
Mhm,
spill out. So it's
mhm.
like you're kind of limited on your mobility. But I was focused. I was like, this is great. If I can make it to 3, 4, 5 months, again, I was like, "I'm open." And then around week, like, 7, I woke up with, like, a lot of clogged ducts and engorgement in my right breast. And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna take sunflower lecithin, I'm gonna pump, I'm gonna do the hot showers, like, I've got this, like, it's probably just some clogged ducts, it's very uncomfortable, but, like, I can do it." 2 days later, it was so inflamed and I was getting the red splotches. I was like, "Okay, this is mastitis." So, I went to my OB, got some medication. 2 days into those antibiotics, it had jumped to the other breast. So then it was like, "Oh, actually, we have bilateral mastitis." Like, it's not just
Ouch.
in the right, now we're in the left, and so a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort. If you've ever had mastitis, you know, like, how
It's
painful
awful.
it is. It's I would I would honestly put it, like, just under recovering from a C-section level of pain.
Mm.
Like, I had some Oxy left over from my C-section as, like, pain medication that they sent me home with, and there were 2 days where I had to literally take oxycodone just to get through the pain of the breast engorgement. Like, I couldn't pump, I couldn't get anything out, so there was no relief. It was just so painful. I talked to my OB, I was like, "Hey, it's gotten worse. This antibiotic is not." Everyone's like, "Oh, if you have mastitis, 24 to 48 hours, you should be feeling great." I was like, "No, no, we're, like, going the other direction." So, 3 days into the antibiotics, I was like, "Hey, it's been 72 hours, this is getting worse. I'm worried we got an abscess. I'm worried, like, you know,
Mm.
this could be turning into something really severe." So, she put me on another antibiotic called Bactrim, which is kind of the highest level of antibiotic you can be on for mastitis, and then I was like, "Okay, this is great." Had a couple of good days on that antibiotic, and then, the engorgement flipped over back to my right breast. So then I was, like, desperate. I was like, "Okay, now we've been dealing with this for 8 days.
Oh my
I can't pick up my twins. I can't feed them. Like, the load that I was putting on my husband, he was, like, doing everything because I couldn't have any pressure or anyone touching my chest. So it's like, how do you hold your babies, you know?
Sure.
So on, like, day 8 or 9, I ended up, having a lactation consultant come to the house, and I was like, "I am in so much pain. I can't pump. I can't get anything out. Help me, please, like, help me." And so she was able to get the twins to latch, and
Oh, wow.
they had not breastfed since, like, week 1, essentially, in the hospital and coming home. She put them on a nipple shield, latched immediately. Which
Wow.
was amazing, and so she's like, "I think at this stage, you are so engorged that if you don't get the milk out, it's gonna cause a lot of problems, and so
Mm,
I know that you're like you might wanna be done with your breastfeeding journey, but you have to get this milk out," and
sure.
so she's like, "The best suction for mastitis is a baby's mouth. The suction of a pump is just not gonna do it," and she was right, like, it really helped get a lot of the engorgement down, and that was on a Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, I went back to the gym. I was feeling so good. I went to the gym for the first time. I was like, "Great, we're done with this mastitis bull crap, like, we're gonna be great." And then on Thursday, I started getting body aches and chills, and I was like, "This is, like, more mastitis symptoms, but no fever," So, like,
Mm.
what's going on?
Oh,
Yeah, very weird. And then Friday morning, woke up with a full body rash, like really intense rash, very red, splotchy, welts all over with a fever of 104 and body aches
shut up.
and rash.
I knew you had a
And
fever. I did not know it was 104.
yeah, it was 103.9, so I'm gonna round up.
Okay, that's 104.
So at the time, I'm so thankful my brother and sister-in-law were visiting. They just happened to have a planned visit, and I feel really bad because that visit did not turn out well, but my sister-in-law's a PA, and she's worked in the ED, she's worked in oncology, she's worked in a lot of different, specialties, and she looked at me and she's like, "We have to get you to the ER.
Mm.
I don't mean to freak you out, but I am concerned at this stage you might be septic. Like, the
Oh
fact
my
that you
god.
have a rash, the fact that you have this high of a temp, the fact that you've been fighting bilateral mastitis on now 2 failed antibiotics for the last 10 days, I am like, "We need to treat this very seriously." So I was like, "Okay," So we pack a bag, my sister-in-law go to the ER, and we left my brother and Matthew with the twins, and that was the first time I was away from my babies, was to go to the ER. And it was just very I do think, like, as a mom, I never really understood when women would talk about this, but you kinda go to a different mental place to just get through stuff. You're like,
Mhm.
I just it's not that you can't feel your emotions, but you just have to, like, "Okay, I'm going to the ER. I have to leave them. I love you. I gotta go."
Mhm.
And then when I got to the ER and they're, like, running all these tests, they did a sepsis protocol on me, which thankfully I was negative for. But then I really broke down. I was, like, just crying, and
That's
the
a
nurse
lot.
no, it was so much. The nurse was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, This has just been the worst 2 weeks of my life." And they admitted me, and long story short, we were able to, address that I had no longer had mastitis, but I had extreme inflammation in both my breasts. And I talked to a infectious disease doctor, and he was like, "I'm afraid that this is gonna keep happening to you until you decide to stop breastfeeding." And so
Hmm.
at that point, I had already made that decision for my own mental and physical health at this point, but he was like he kinda confirmed it. He was like, like, is starting to look a little chronic based on all of your symptoms, and so I'm just
Sure.
worried that you might continue to deal with this throughout your breastfeeding journey." So, I talked with my OB, and I was able to get some medication to actually dry up my milk supply in about 4 or 5 days, and I was still dealing with so much engorgement and discomfort that
Jeez.
I didn't have the patience nor the pain tolerance anymore to try to wean, because weaning can take weeks, and I was
Mhm.
like,
Oh, sure.
or months, like, depending on people's, preferences, and I was like, "I'm out. Like, I need this dried up. I need to be able to move on with my life. Like, this has been such a traumatic experience, and
Yeah, I'm so
I
sorry.
it's okay. I also was like, now we're moving to formula, and I can feel a sense of freedom about that. You know,
Sure. Yeah.
look at the time I get back. Look at I get to get back in the gym and, like, there are things I've tried to, reframe to, make it a positive thing, and the kids are thriving on formula and they're doing great. So it's, like, not putting that extra pressure on myself and also releasing any sort of specific expectation I had of, like,
Mhm.
again, I'm open. So I've gotta be adaptable and I've gotta just kinda roll with it, and after those 2 weeks of dealing with that, I'm like, "Okay, and now we're done, and I've met my limit, and Matthew was about to go back to work. How am I gonna
Mm.
take care of the twins dealing with this inflammation I'm like, I'm done, and I feel like I had a lot of peace about it, and yeah, that's my experience, but I honestly would not wish bilateral mastitis on my worst enemy. Like
I can't imagine. So I had mastitis with Kaya,
Uh-huh.
and this is, like, during COVID. So
Mm.
she was born February 20th, so she was, like, 3 weeks old when, like, stuff really went down, and we had trouble breastfeeding from the get-go. She had tongue ties that we didn't really know how bad they were, and I remember I woke up one morning and I felt like I got hit by a bus.
Mhm.
Like, I was it was chills, body
Uh-huh.
aches, and I had a fever. I don't think it was 104, but maybe 102 or something. And I'm like, I haven't how do I literally thought, "How do I have COVID? I haven't left the house." Like,
Mm.
my husband was working, but I'm like, "I don't know how I have COVID." And I think was this maybe my 6-week appointment? I went into my OB office for some kind of appointment and just happened to be feeling this way, and they're doing temperature checks, and I told the nurse, I'm like, "I'm pretty certain I have a fever." I'm like, "I don't think I have COVID if you guys" like, I think at this point they tested everybody. I'm like, "I don't know what it is, my breasts are so sore." And
Mm.
an exam, and they were like, "You're bright red." And I was like, "I am?" I literally, like, didn't I don't know why I didn't, like, evaluate in the mirror myself. I feel like I was so
Well, you're busy.
overwhelmed with
Yeah,
everything. I'm like,
yeah.
I didn't even, like, look. Oh my gosh, I was like my right breast was, like, cherry red, and they're like, "You
Mhm.
have mastitis." And I'm like, "I don't have COVID." And they're like, "No, you definitely have mastitis." And mine went away very quickly with antibiotics, which, like how you were mentioning, it should go away. I think within a day on antibiotics, I felt better. And that was just
Mhm.
one breast having mastitis. So I cannot imagine the pain that you went through and the discomfort and how scary. Then you're really worried, like, this isn't just a simple mastitis. This is turning into, like, am I septic? That's terrifying and life threatening.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm proud of you for pivoting. Like, so many things I feel like you've been able to pivot,
Mhm.
and that I feel like twin moms are better at doing that and maybe quicker. Like with my daughter, even after mastitis, my husband had mentioned doing formula a couple of times. And I was so, I don't even know the right word, stubborn. Like, I'm like, no, I had in my head, I'm going to breastfeed. It's going to be this magical experience. I
Mhm.
will say, after she had her tongue ties released, it was a significantly better experience. But
Good.
with the boys, I started pumping in the hospital. I
Yes.
literally was like, "I wanna keep up my supply," and it was interesting, like, the postpartum nurses were like, "Yeah, you need a pump. Here's, like, a medical grade pump, because if they're latching and nothing's coming out, then that's signaling that, oh, well, your babies don't need milk, if anything,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
your supply is gonna drop."
Yeah,
And then the lactation consultants were like, "You should not pump, you should breastfeed."
of
And I'm
course.
like, I'm trying." It's
Yeah.
so hard, and
Mhm.
my boys were so little, they were 413 and 414, and
Mm.
one of the nurses was saying, like, "I'm not sure if their cheek muscles are, like, actually even strong enough to latch."
Oh,
So, my
interesting.
boys never had NICU time, but they were always on the border because of glucose levels. How do you get your
Mm.
glucose levels up? You drink milk.
Yep.
So, it was like, okay, all signs are pointing to, if I want to provide breast milk, then I need to pump. So
Yeah.
I made that pivot in the hospital, and I wouldn't have had that, like, mental capacity to do that with my daughter. That
Mhm.
shift happened when I had twins. So,
Yeah. I think there's a lot of pressure on women. Well, one, in general, like, it's like,
yeah.
"Oh, you are gonna go back to work? Hmm. Oh, you're gonna stay home with the kids? Hmm. Oh, you're gonna breastfeed?" Like, there's just so many opinions and thoughts, especially on the internet, and I
Yeah.
love the internet, like, I love social media, I spend a lot of my time on there, it's where you and I connected, but I do think that there are times when those types of narratives can get into our decision making and
Mm.
what we think we should do. And I think that's something I'm learning back to like my circumstances are different. It's like, oh, I need to be really mindful of who I'm taking advice from or, what might work for this, sleep training for this singleton is completely different than working with, your twin babies. And so just really being mindful of, like, what source am I getting this information from, and does it really apply to my circumstances, and,
Mhm.
you know, can I release myself of those expectations or pressure that I might be feeling internally of, like, "Hey, maybe this is what I want, but maybe it doesn't really match, like, what needs to happen," and so that's been a journey, but something I think that's helped with my own mental health and kind of postpartum anxiety of just like, "Okay, we are rolling with the punches. We are rolling with the punches. We are adaptable."
Yes, we are adaptable, we can pivot. Well, and I
Yeah.
feel like this goes perfectly, so I always ask every mom, if you could have a heart to heart with a twin mom or give them a piece of advice, what would you tell them?
I would say that, like, can
Yeah.
you release any pressure or expectations that you have on what the experience is supposed to be,
Mhm.
and
Mm.
really, like, crafting, "This is your home, these are your babies," and I know I'm only 2.5 months in, okay? But it's like, I get to set the tone to my house, I get to set the energy, I get to choose, like, how I wanna approach a decision instead of feeling like, um you know, letting too much noise from the outside in. And then the other piece of advice I would give is try to take some time to yourself as early as you can in your postpartum experience. My mental health was really, really struggling, especially through the mastitis stuff. And
Mhm.
through all of that, I was like, I just need to just an hour by myself. Like, I just need to just reset because I don't even know who I am. And so even just the last couple of weeks of having some help, I feel more like myself. And I think if you can give yourself permission to find pockets of your day, or whether that's getting help or having family come over and help you, whatever that looks like for you, but, like, to your point, filling up your cup so that you can show up differently as a mom, I think is important, and again, I'm new at this, okay, I'm new, I got my training wheels on.
But I mean, like I said, I'm like for being a first-time mom, a first-time twin mom, which could be a whole podcast on its own, like having twins first, because I was like greased up first. I had a singleton, right? So like
Mhm.
I went into twin motherhood with like a little bit of confidence because I had had a baby already.
Yeah.
So first-time mom, 2.5 months in, and I know that you have been through quite a bit, like we've talked about, but I'm just impressed at how, like I said, like I'm just impressed at how you're putting yourself first so that you can be the best mom that you can be. And I just am impressed by that because, like I said
Mhm.
earlier, I really had to crash and burn before I started making myself a priority. And I am a significantly better mom when I have gone to yoga, when I have had one on one time with some girlfriends, when I have had one
Mhm.
on one time with my husband. I am a better mom and can pour into my kids. And I hate when I start feeling I'm like, oh, I'm starting to get like, I don't wanna be a mean mom. I don't
Yep.
wanna be a mean, resentful mom, and when I start to feel that way, I'm like, that's because I'm not filling my own cup, and that's my
Yep.
own fault. And I know
Mm.
it's hard to find, like we were talking about,
Of
a
course.
village. You have to have help in order to do that.
Mhm.
So, I love it.
But I think it's, like, recognizing, "Hey, I need help," and asking for it. Like, I do
Mhm.
think being in my early 30s, having lived a lot of life, I'm, like, used to doing things on my own. There's, like, this independent part of myself where I'm like, "I got this." And then it's like, "Oh, I need help." Like, I need other people in a way that I haven't before, and, like, just letting myself do that, and it's been a really beautiful journey. I am so thankful for Sterling and Monroe. They've taught me a lot already, and I I wanna honor them. I wanna do right by them. I wanna think about the relationship that we don't just have in 3 months, but when they're 8, when they're 15, when they're 40. Like, and I think that
Mhm.
when I'm thinking about that now, it does shift the kind of mom and how I show up. And I think just having that kind of forward thought and perspective has kind of encouraged me to be more present of like, "Oh, this is it right here. Like,
Mhm.
this is what it's all about, and I need to lean into that." And, yeah, it's been a good journey so far. I mean, hard,
Well,
but
I
good.
Yes. Well, I love that. I think that's very wise and such a good point. Like, what kind of mom do I want to be in 5, 10, 15 years? And how can I start implementing that now so I don't have any regrets? And no one's perfect,
No.
you know, but what can you implement now to be the
Mhm.
mom that you want to be? I love
Yeah.
that.
Thank you.
It was so good. It was so fun to talk to you. I absolutely loved it. I know your twins are only like 2.5 months, so we absolutely have to do a follow-up of like
Yes.
a podcast episode number 2 with Alexis.
Yes, please. Yeah, whenever you want me back on, maybe when they're a little bit older, we can talk about lots of other things. I am like, okay, they're like stationary right now. Like when they start moving, oh my gosh, like maybe I'll feel differently, you know? So I'm happy to come back anytime.
I would love that. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining. I had so much fun chatting with you.
Thank you. Thank you for having this podcast. Like, I listened to some of the episodes. It's so good. I love hearing from other women. And I love that you're building this community. It's so important. It's important to listen to other people's stories and feel seen in our own. And I love that you're taking the time to do this, as a busy mom. So thank you for having me.
Oh, well, thank you. And that was something I was craving when I was pregnant and I didn't have. So I'm like, let's just do it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Thank you for taking the time out of your busy twin mom life to listen along. I hope this podcast shed some light on a topic that's been on your heart and gave you more confidence as a twin mama. If you know a twin mom, please send this her way. If you like what you heard today, please subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Check out the show notes to be connected with today's guest and get discount codes for brands I love. See you next Thursday. Until then, you were made for this.